Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. Happy to be joined by another fellow Rogue podcaster. By the way, this time my sound is crystal clear as opposed to last segment. Miss Jordan Elizabeth Gelber, a visionary in the field of producing, acting, and now podcasting, the host of Rogue Matters' own Content and Consequences. Jordan, how you doing?
I am good. I loved that intro. I feel like everyone needs to do that now. Excuse me, now my voice is gonna crack. No, everyone should introduce me now as a visionary.
I think so.
Thank you.
I think so. You got a lot going on besides Content and Consequences, right?
I think I have too much going on. I think I am my own content and consequence.
Well, that's good. We're gonna do a micro one all about you a little bit later. But why don't you give folks a quick 30-second bio, and then we'll start diving into what's going on with this podcast.
Who am I? Great question. My name's Jordan Gelber. I'm the host of the podcast Content and Consequences, now in Rogue Matter, season 2. I am an entrepreneur, a film producer. I create content, I distribute content, I create and launch OTT platforms, and I act, and I have my own marketing production firm because I don't sleep at all.
You got plenty of time to sleep when you're dead. Coach used to tell me that a long time ago. It wasn't as motivating as as I think he liked to think it would be. But so, Content and Consequences entering season 2. Give us a quick recap of what is the basis for the show, and B, who you had on last season to kind of walk you through the first season.
Yeah, so Content and Consequences came about that, as a producer, I've been really kind of straddling the line between creative and business. And I heard so many pain points from the creative side, and then similar mirrored pain points on the production and distribution side. And I realized it's a lot of miscommunication and people assuming things on both ends. So I was like, I want to spark a conversation really talking about the nitty gritty that no one discusses, and like stuff that you wouldn't know, like not saving a budget for food on accident, or putting the wrong materials together because you worried about something looking good versus your messaging coming out clearly. And there was a big learning curve, and I wanted to discuss it and kind of let people who've already burned their fingers kind of educate the masses. Last season, I had a lot of like performers on. So I had Adrienne Lovett, who's a great actress and director. She's amazing. And then I had Brando Crawford, who just came off of these amazing Zoom plays that he acting for a cause, where he had a whole bunch of young Hollywood involved and got to do a lot with charity. And these are people that were creating content amidst quarantine and everything that was going on, and how they were connecting to people through the fact that they were content creators. And I had Richard Corgan, who's this awesome guy from the UK, who's an actor, and he's also a self-tape coach. And I just wanted to bring people who were self-starting content creators, and lots of other great people. Definitely go check it out, season 1. But season 2, I really wanted to pivot more away from more creatives. Like I had a lot of performers before. I wanted to stay away from that because a lot of their stuff was like not being seen. But I think that on the other side, a lot of stuff, people didn't know what OTT was. People don't really know what television streaming is, or how people are, seeing content. A lot of people forget I find on the creative end, that you're making stuff that you're hoping is going to be seen. Who are those people that you want to see them? And I see content as little mini startups, and I wanted to find similar like-minded people who are really paving the way for innovative business strategies to help content creators get careers. So I had a lot of my sharing partners who are on part of my network that's launching. I had Paul Jun, who's the CEO of Filmocracy, which is an amazing interactive festival and streaming platform. So they have different film festivals on the platform where you can interact with people and you get rewarded for watching certain things and rating them. And it's really exciting to have a place to kind of hang out with amongst people. And I'm like, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about our peers and hanging out that isn't Zoom, anything but Zoom, please. And
this is very true.
This is very true.
Ironically, we're doing this.
Zoom. And then I had David Grasso, who's the CEO of one of my clients, Bold TV, and he is really changing this landscape of broadcast media, bridging the gap between millennials and Gen Z and how they watch and learn from the news. And he pretty much lifted this network from like the dead and all last year. And it was really exciting to watch them grow and be a part of their growth and the innovative strategies to get young people to talk about content. So I wanted to kind of talk about really Hollywood things, but also other forms of media that people don't think about. Like we have a podcast. Why aren't we talking more about podcast distribution? So I had that with some people as well. But I had a lot of people that I was inspired by, including Philip Gilpin, who's the CEO of Catalyst Content Festival, which is where we're debuting our network, and talk about his mission and why he got into helping content creators. And the overarching theme, which is basically content creators don't know a lot about the business side of show business, and a lot of people on the business side don't know if they can communicate to content creators, because on one side it's very emotional, on one side it's very practical, and where do we find the middle ground? And that's kind of what we highlighted this season.
It was a very succinct explanation. I love it. Next question that I thought it was very succinct. I thought it was to the point.
All over plate for me.
I thought it was thorough. I don't know about.
Okay, thorough is a good word.
It was thorough.
Thorough is a good word that I like.
Thank you.
What would you say the target audience is for the podcast? Like, who gets the most out of it? Is it somebody who's in college who wants to learn? Is it somebody, who's been struggling to try to kind of break into the film and TV biz? Is it all of the above? What do you think? Who gets the most out of listening to your show?
I think the people get the most out of it are people who want to create, who wake up in the morning dying to create. I think it's a little bit of all of the above. But the age ranges are so like far and wide now. Like you could wake up in the morning and record a video and put it online for everyone to see and tell your story authentically, or however you want to position your life online. We all know how we love influencers, right? But I think that people get a lot of fear. And so I really hope that we kind of break down some of those fears. We kind of inspire people to think differently about their content and the fact that you can have a career in this, that this isn't a pipe dream. So anyone who has a dream of being in the world of content creation distribution, and content creation is very lax term. There's so many different versions of it. I think it's for all those people who are at home listening to this, who have, comic books that they want to adapt into films, or they want to have a podcast to talk about issues that are important to them, or they have a series idea and they want to, be the next High Maintenance, or be the next West Wing, or whatever. I think there's a lot of opportunities there. And right now, there are more opportunities to connect to people in the industry at a very high level than there ever were before. So I hope that we're kind of lifting that curtain and showing people that the men behind the curtain, you can hang out with them and be friends with them, but just like everyone deserves to be on the same playing field. And I'm kind of trying to showcase that so the fear dissipates.
Cool. We thought it would be fun, being that we have you on, and we're going to debut season 2 the following Sunday. So check out facebook.com/Rogue Matter Podcast and youtube.com/Rogue Matter, and all the major podcasting apps where you can find Content and Consequences, to do one for you, because you are the host. You're the one usually asking the questions. But since this is our show, we figure we would flip the script a little bit. I have one content question for you, and I have one consequence question.
Tough word.
For you. Well, together, combined, that's where it gets iffy. Where do you fall on the Martin Scorsese argument of art versus content? He's very offended by the word content, it seems, because he thinks of what he does as art. Is it such a big deal to discuss as content? As an artist yourself, as an actress, as a producer, where do you fall in the use of that word?
Such an interesting conversation. Art in itself is in the eye of the beholder. I mean, not to like give life story, but when I was in college, I was an art major, and there was this one assignment we discussed where there was a photo of this like urinal that became like an art installation. Then the photo became even more of an art piece because it was depicting it in a certain way. And they were saying, is this art, or is this like mimicking or whatever? And I think all of us have a voice, and we choose certain mediums to share that voice. If the term content is triggering, there are other words that define it, but I think content has become a powerful word, especially to younger generations right now, who their entire life has been content and content online. Books can be defined as content. Music is content. Art in itself is content. But in terms of whether it is art or it dilutes the term art, I think it's a matter of confidence. Like, I don't think that content's a negative word. I mean, web series became a really taboo word because people thought web series meant like YouTube, when it's so much more than that. It's people who woke up and created a series and self-distributed it to the world. That's so cool. But now it's like web series. I'm like, yes, digital short form series. Let's make it really complicated. But I understand Martin Scorsese's point, because content's become a lot of social video, and social video is really, self-serving in many ways. And I think that in that case, it becomes more about like being viral and being commercial and campy versus making something wonderful. But there are people that have made entire careers with their films by putting it online and by doing all the right things to have it be seen. But old school filmmakers, like I get why they're saying that, because for a really long time, a lot of the content was really awful and wasn't authentic and didn't have talent attached. I don't care if I get flack for that, but really it was really bad. And I missed creating art, but now I have the ability to create my own art through the methods that I have to create content. So I think it's how you utilize the term. Like Martin Scorsese is not going to put like Godfather fan page. You ever hear like what
he should. That should be his next project. It should be like do Gangs of New York. The fan page by Martin Scorsese, the fan video.
How big should Daniel Day-Lewis's hat be next round? Keep going up. It's just, I think it's a generational thing.
Yeah. Hassan, I saw you head nodding a lot, so it seems as if you like her take.
I was agreeing with Jordan. I don't agree with you.
No, I didn't say you agree with me. That you never agree with me. It's part of why the show works. I
do think that language is important, and that I can see how content would be marginalizing if you're working very hard on something, or you're spending X amount of months a year on a particular project, and a platform is like, well, I just need content from you. You're just a content provider. That is very belittling. Also, if you consider yourself a content provider, it's very hard to raise funds, to raise significant funds for whatever project you're doing, because of the label you have. It's probably easier to raise money as a director than as a content provider. So that's pretty important.
All right, Jordan, what is your biggest consequence so far in launching your OTT network? See, this is what we call a plug question. See?
I liked what you did there. You're making me blush. So first let me tell you what the OTT platform is. So
that's called a softball.
That was a good pivot. I liked it. I'm catching what you're throwing. So I have a OTT platform, Aperture, and the big consequence was why I created Aperture, which was that I didn't understand why I couldn't knock on like a producer's door and be like, I have really awesome stuff. Why aren't you making it already? So I made a OTT platform that's a content pipeline. So we have people that submit their
What does OTT mean?
Oh, good question. It's a follow-up question. OTT means over the top or off the. It really means over the transom, because they used to throw like scripts over the transom back in the day. I forget what transom is. Google it. But it basically means off the box. So it has all these weird terms, but people that watch content or whatever television off the device that isn't like their TV. So even though we have smart TVs now, like those who have Roku or a smartphone or Apple TV or Fire Stick or now TiVo, like those are smart devices, and we stream content. So streaming media is a streaming network and virtual networks. Those are OTT networks. So some of the popular ones that people watch today are like Hulu is an OTT network, Netflix is an OTT network, and they're all very different because they all have different terms. Like there's TVOD and there's AVOD and there's SVOD. So like more things that you have to remember. But like subscription-based plans like HBO Max and Netflix, there's like TV on demand plans like Amazon, where it's a marketplace and you purchase stuff. And there's like premium ads and free ones. Like it's really interesting seeing how that's becoming a thing. But a lot of people don't know what streaming television is or what it means, because these networks can be used for so many different things. Like we have podcasts that we just stream on those things. You can stream, conferences and events. Like it's like having a website. A website can be so many different things. Yeah. But I wanted to have a network that was more than just a place for people to watch things, but a place to make things happen. Yeah. And so what happens is I wanted to benefit content creators, and I have no desire to compete with Netflix. So I have on the front end, I have a high quality content aggregator, and people submit their stuff to me. They go through a talent acquisition process, and if they pass all the bells and whistles, we put them up on our platform, which will be on all the leading smart devices. And then simultaneously, I'm trying to find ways to help you build, create the business plan for what you've created, because that's where I found that was the biggest consequence is on the art side, the creator side. A lot of people either didn't think past the pilot or made things for not the wrong reasons, but didn't know how to highlight the reasons they made it in a positive light. So or they had this great content, but the owners weren't friends anymore. And all those different areas are true, but at the same time, I can't bring those people to other executives and be excited about it, because then people don't know what they want. And we all know that if there's a consistency and you don't know what you want, you don't know what your ask is, you're asking somebody to tell you what your ask is, it just comes off completely unprofessional. So I wanted to put everyone on the same line. And so on the back end, I help with all their business plans, and I help with some of their marketing. And then I even have a bunch of sales members. So there are sales agents that work with me, and they sell the content that's on the platform and help them get further distribution. And we hope that they graduate to the next place. So it's kind of it's a pipeline that helps people get from the I've created something to my stuff's being sold, or whatever the next iteration is going to be. And so I'll go back to the front end. The front end consequence, which I hate, is just people made stuff pilots. I'm so anti-pilots, and I say that all the time. I hate pilots. I said this last season, but with pilots, people spend so much money in assumption that someone was going to invest a lot of money in their project and keep everything the same and make a whole new thing and give them millions of dollars, but they couldn't tell you why they should do that. Aside from, I made this pilot because I want to be an actor and I want to put myself in the best light, but I hired a bunch of people that don't have success yet, but are my friends. Not that friends aren't awesome, but if I create as a business and I want it to be a successful business and shine that I'm if I was a restaurant, I want to shine that I'm a great chef. I would have sous chefs that have had experience, or I would have restaurant managers that have successfully run a restaurant before to a level of success, but creators sometimes don't think that way.
Right.
And I think that they, do this as a disservice because they're not searching that. So it was hard kind of trying to convince people what they should do with the next wave of thing, or ask them why they made it.
Yeah.
No one could tell me why they made it. Not why people should watch it.
Because I wanted to make some money.
Exactly. But they don't know that it's a whole different business model. And they won't tell me why they made it, in the sense why should people watch it? Yeah. Why they made it for themselves, but not why we should care about watching it right now. And then very simply on the really executive level, because there's all this gatekeeping noise that really isn't there. Is I feel like they deal with all these very emotional people that already are so concerned that their stuff's going to be diluted, that it's already conflicting, and they don't have the time, or the people creating it don't properly respect themselves in the room as professionals, and that they don't know what the deals are going to be. They'll take any deal. If I ask somebody what do you want, they're oh, Netflix. Do you know why you want Netflix? Because it's Netflix, but why do you want Netflix? You'll be in a library of other shows, or do you want to be marketed? So the business people were really, I think, over the fact that people weren't educating themselves and didn't want to deal with people that didn't know how to handle business. And on the content creator side, they were afraid that all these networks and people are going to completely dilute their artistic integrity. So I wanted to be the middle ground, and the consequence has been just trying to educate people on this new system of distribution.
And they can tune into your podcast, Content and Consequences, to learn more. It's going to be debuting this Sunday, September 26th, on the Rogue Matter Podcast Network. First guest is going to be Paul June from Filmocracy. It should be great. Jordan Elizabeth Gelber, a visionary. Thank you so much for joining us. When we come back, we'll put a bow on tonight's episode. Hi, Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wave podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, for a brand new episode of the Rogue Wave podcast.